Wealth is not built in your bank account. It's built in your mind long before the money ever shows up, before the numbers change, before the lifestyle shifts, before the world recognizes you. You must become wealthy on the inside, because your results are nothing more than the echo of your subconscious programming. Your outer world reflects your inner blueprint, and most people are walking around with a mental blueprint designed for survival, not wealth. They want abundance, but they think in limits. They want freedom, but they act like prisoners. They want millions, but their mind is still tuned to scarcity, self-doubt, and fear. That's not a money problem. That's a mind problem. You cannot outperform your identity. You cannot rise above the beliefs you refuse to examine. You cannot collect wealth if your subconscious keeps rejecting it. And here's the truth no one tells you. If your mind is wired for poverty, no amount of effort will ever feel enough. You'll sabotage. You'll delay. You'll panic when success knocks, and then call it bad luck when it walks away. Not because you're not capable, but because somewhere inside you still believe you don't deserve it. And until you break that, until you burn the old wiring down to its core, you will keep running the same loop. Work, struggle, just enough, plateau, repeat. But the second you reprogram your mind, the second you change what you believe is possible, acceptable, and inevitable, you become unstoppable, because you'll no longer be working against yourself. You'll be aligned, unified, locked in with a power that moves mountains, not from force, from frequency. Wealth has a vibration, and when you tune your mind to match it, the world bends. You'll start seeing opportunities others miss. You'll make decisions with clarity and power. You'll take action from abundance, not desperation. Because now you're not chasing money. You're magnetizing it. You've become a force of nature. But how do you do it? How do you rewire decades of programming? How do you uninstall the scarcity they fed you since birth and replace it with abundance that feels real? You start at the root, your identity. Who do you believe you are? Because every decision you make, every habit you repeat, every boundary you set or break is a reflection of who you believe yourself to be. And most people are trapped in invisible prisons built by phrases like, "I'm not good with money." "People like me don't get rich. I just need enough to get by." "I'll never be like them." It's selfish to want more. Where did those come from? They weren't born in you. They were installed by culture, family, school, trauma, repetition. But they are not truth. They are just old, unexamined code. And like any program, they can be rewritten. You don't attract wealth by wishing for it. You attract wealth by becoming the kind of person who lives in alignment with it. You change the self-concept. You don't say, "I want to be rich." You become someone who believes wealth is normal, natural, inevitable. You don't say, "I'm trying to save money." You become someone who always has more than enough. You don't say, "I'm working hard." You become someone who expects and creates overflow. Because once you shift who you are, you don't need to force new habits. They become automatic. You don't have to fight for consistency. You live from it. So ask yourself, what identity are you still wearing that's keeping you broke? What assumptions are you defending that are costing you freedom? Rip them out, burn the mask, and build a new identity. One that welcomes wealth, honors it, multiplies it, and uses it to serve something greater than yourself. Then, once the identity is rebuilt, you must challenge the next lie. That money is evil, that it corrupts, that it makes people greedy. These ideas were weaponized against you, not to protect your soul, but to control your potential. Because the truth is, money is not evil. Money is a magnifier. If you are generous without money, you'll be more generous with it. If you are lost without money, you'll be more lost with it. If you are grounded in purpose, wealth becomes your amplifier. But if you secretly fear money, if you believe it will turn you into something dark, if you carry guilt around wanting more, you will push it away. You'll self-sabotage every time things start growing. You'll avoid raising your prices, asking for more, investing in yourself. You'll call it humility, but it's fear in disguise. You are not here to worship money, but you are not here to run from it either. You're here to master it, to see it clearly, to use it wisely, to multiply it boldly, To become a steward of abundance, not a slave to lack. Because money doesn't change you. It reveals you. And if you've done the inner work, you won't be afraid of what it shows. You'll use it to buy time, buy impact, buy freedom. You'll use it to free your family, fuel your mission, fund your future. Wealth in the hands of a wise mind becomes a weapon for good. But first, you must believe you're worthy of holding it. Not someday. Now. Worthy. Let that word sit with you. Because that's what this entire journey comes down to: worthiness. Most people never say it out loud. But deep down, there's a belief that whispers, "I'm not enough. I haven't earned it yet. I don't deserve to be free." And that belief doesn't just sit quietly, it leaks into everything. Into how you price your work, into how you show up in negotiations, into the jobs you accept, into the way you carry yourself in rooms with power. You can have all the talent in the world, all the strategy, all the hustle. But if you don't believe you deserve wealth, you will unconsciously reject it. Not because you're broken, but because your subconscious is trying to stay safe. And it thinks wealth is dangerous. Dangerous because it might change your relationships. Dangerous because it might expose you. Dangerous because it might pull you away from what's familiar. So what do? You shrink. You settle. You over-explain. You give discounts. You wait. And then you wonder why you're still stuck. Let me tell you something that will either offend you or liberate you. You don't get what you want. You get what you believe you deserve. And the moment you stop asking permission to be wealthy, the moment you stop apologizing for your ambition, the moment you decide that your value is not up for negotiation, everything changes. Because wealth doesn't flow to the best, it flows to the most certain. So if you want to reprogram your mind for wealth, kill the belief that you have to prove yourself first. You don't prove to earn wealth, you embody to attract it. And once your self-worth is no longer attached to other people's validation, you stop begging and start building. Now let's go deeper. Reprogramming your mind for wealth means letting go of another silent killer: scarcity thinking. Scarcity is the default operating system of the average mind. It believes there's only so much to go around. That if someone else wins, you lose. That if one person rises, another must fall. It hoards. It panics. It plays small because it's terrified that the pie is shrinking. But wealth is not a pie. It's a current, and anyone can tap into it if they align their mind to the flow. Scarcity says, "I can't afford it." Abundance says, "How can I create it?" Scarcity says, "There's too much competition." Abundance says, "No one else can do it like me." Scarcity says, "What if I fail?" Abundance says, "What if I learn and multiply?" You don't attract wealth by clinging. You attract it by circulating, creating, collaborating, expanding. Look at the greatest wealth builders in history. Carnegie, Rockefeller, Oprah, Jobs. They didn't operate from fear of loss. They operated from vision, from expansion, from value creation at scale. They didn't ask, "What's the cheapest way?" They asked, "What's the highest impact way?" You can't build generational wealth with a survival budget mentality. You must shift from, "How do I save pennies?" to "How do I produce value that generates millions?" Because scarcity makes you protect crumbs, but abundance makes you bake more bread. It's not about reckless spending. It's about rewiring the lens through which you see opportunity. Most people look at a price tag and see what they're losing. The wealthy look at a price tag and ask what they're unlocking. This is how they move. They invest in skill, in network, in leverage, in systems. They don't just spend, they deploy capital, including time, energy, and attention. Because they know money is not lost when invested wisely, it multiplies. So ask yourself, are you operating from fear of running out, or from faith in what you can create? Scarcity is heavy. It contracts your energy, shrinks your vision, dulls your decisions. Abundance is light. It expands your possibilities, sharpens your action, and accelerates your wealth. This is not just mindset. This is math. Because the more abundant you're thinking, the more calculated risk you take. The more risk you take, the more return you create. And the more return you create, the more freedom you build, not just for yourself, but for everyone connected to you. You were never meant to scrape by. You were meant to overflow, to operate with so much confidence, clarity, and capacity that your very presence shifts rooms. But that version of you doesn't live in fear. That version of you doesn't chase pennies. That version of you doesn't wait for permission. That version of you reprograms the mind, upgrades the identity, rewrites the code, and then moves like someone chosen. Because that's what wealth is, not just numbers. It's a standard, and it starts in the mind. Wealth is not just what you earn, it's what you expect. It's the standard you refuse to drop below, no matter what. Because when your standard rises, your reality follows. Look around. Your current life is a reflection of your past standards. What you tolerated, what you accepted, what you settled for. And if you want a richer life, you don't start by working harder. You start by expecting more from yourself, from your environment, from the energy you move with. You raise your financial thermostat. Because no matter how much money you make, you will always return to your internal setting. If your mind is set to 50K a year, you'll sabotage anything beyond it. If your mind is set to struggle, even blessings will feel uncomfortable. You'll find ways to reset back to familiar, back to just enough, back to the version of you who was safe, small, and broke, but comfortable. That's not success. That's slavery. So you must reprogram the temperature of your mind. And that doesn't start with hustle. It starts with vision. What does your wealthy life look like? What does it feel like to walk in full ownership of your value? What choices would you make if money was no longer a source of fear, but a tool of freedom? Close your eyes and see it. That's not daydreaming. That's designing. Because what you vividly imagine, what you emotionalize, what you own as already true in your spirit, your subconscious will start building in the background. The mind is a goal-achieving machine. It's always working either for your greatness or your destruction. And it doesn't care what's true. It only cares what's dominant. So if fear is dominant, that becomes your future. If wealth is dominant, that becomes your direction. Your vision must be louder than your excuses. Your standard must be stronger than your fear. Your identity must be rooted in abundance so deeply that nothing can shake it. Not the economy, not opinions, not temporary setbacks. Because that's how wealthy minds think. They are anchored, not reactive. They are strategic, not scattered. They are future-focused, not past-driven. But here's the final key: reprogramming your mind for wealth only works when paired with aligned action. Not random hustle, not busy work, not emotional scrambling. Aligned, purposeful, precision-based. You don't just think rich, you act rich. Not in ego, in structure. Wealthy people track, optimize, invest, and move with intention. They don't hope for money. They command it through systems, strategy, and execution. They set up recurring streams. They build assets. They delegate low-value tasks. They say no to distractions and hell yes to alignment. They wake up and decide how the day will serve their vision before the world tells them what's urgent. Because wealthy minds don't just think differently, they operate differently. They understand the cost of inaction. They understand the price of procrastination. They understand that every moment wasted in hesitation is another day compounded against their legacy. So they move, not in fear, in conviction, not in chaos, in clarity. They know the truth: you cannot attract what you resent. You cannot keep what you mishandle. You cannot multiply what you avoid. So they face it all head on. The numbers, the mindset, the mess, the mission, and every step they take forward, they become more magnetic, more powerful, more free. You are not here to chase dollars. You are here to embody wealth so completely, so authentically, apologetically, that the universe has no choice but to respond in full. And when it does, you don't owe anyone an explanation, because you'll know the truth. This didn't happen by accident. It happened by reprogramming everything the world told you to believe, and choosing to believe in yourself instead. You were not born to repeat your family's patterns. You were not born to echo society's fears. You were not born to barely make it, to shrink your dreams, or to apologize for wanting more. You were born to build, to rewire the programming passed down by generations, to shatter the ceiling they told you was the sky, to turn your mind into the most powerful asset you own. Because when the mind transforms, everything does. Your bank account, your habits, your circle, your standard of living, your sense of who you are and what you deserve. That's the real revolution. Not getting a raise, not winning the lottery, not stumbling into some shortcut. It's deciding to become a wealthy thinker, a disciplined creator, a relentless force of clarity, purpose, and ownership. And the truth is, you don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to have grown up with the blueprint. You just need to decide that from this moment forward, you are the one who breaks the curse, the one who reprograms the code, the one who no longer tolerates scarcity in your mind, in your money, or in your life. And once that decision is made deep in your bones, carved into your identity, you begin to rise. You begin to think like a wealthy person, speak like one, move like one. You start building systems instead of excuses. You stop outsourcing your power. You stop waiting for the right time, and you create it. You build wealth from the inside out, because that's the only wealth that lasts. So let the world chase noise. Let them get lost in tactics. Let them scramble for pennies. You reprogram the signal. You walk with intention. You speak with ownership. You breathe abundance. Because now you know the truth. Wealth was never about luck. It was about alignment. And alignment begins in the mind. So rise, not someday, now. This isn't just a script. It's a mirror. A mirror reflecting who you could be if you stop settling. A mirror revealing the wealth already inside you, buried beneath noise, fear, and lies. So don't walk away inspired. Walk away changed. Let this be the day your mind becomes your ally. Let this be the hour your story takes a new direction. Let this be the moment you cross the line from wishing to owning, from hoping to, building from surviving to thriving. Because wealth isn't coming. It's already here, and now you have the mind to match it. No more waiting, no more running, no more shrinking. Reprogram the mind, reclaim the power, build the life, and let your existence become undeniable proof that wealth was always an inside job.